What do we value more, persons or power? That's the question at the heart of morality. It's the question that will confront you from the moment that you wake to the moment that you sleep each and every day. What will you value today, persons or power? Will you use persons to serve power, or will you use power to serve persons? Park that thought and then come with me to London to the Court of Protection on the 21st of June 2019, 4 days ago as I've recorded this. Now, I'm aware that this ruling was overturned yesterday on Monday, thank God, but let me take you through the decision on the 21st. On Friday, a judge with a long history of pro-abortion activism ruled that a pregnant mother must have an abortion. Never mind that her child is at 22 weeks gestation. Never mind that the mother herself does not want the abortion. Never mind that the grandmother, in this case a former midwife, is pledging to look after the child. Never mind that the family is Roman Catholic and believes fervently in the right to life of this little one. Never mind that the child's own social worker does not want the abortion and is willing to arrange together with the family for the safe birth and care of this child. Nevertheless, Justice Natalie Levin ruled that the unborn child should die because it was in the best interests of the mother. The mother has moderately severe learning difficulties and a mood disorder, and despite saying she wants her child to live, the judge opined, "I think she would like to have a baby in the same way that she would like to have a nice doll." In reality, though, Levin said, "I think the woman would suffer greater trauma from having a baby removed from her care because it would be, at that stage, a real baby." I imagine that Levin said this while stroking a hairless cat and wearing a coat made entirely of Dalmatians. Just enter into the thought world of Justice Levin just for a second, if you dare. Apparently, it's better to dismember the child in utero while it's not a real baby. I know, we'll have to leave off that pronouncement for now, but let's just go with the judge for a second. What are the alternatives in Levin's way of thinking? You might imagine that one alternative would be for the child to be raised by its extended family, with the grandmother as the chief caregiver and the mother involved as much as her capacity allows. We do have a category for extended family, don't we? I dare say a Nigerian family, the grandmother is Nigerian, I dare say a Nigerian family would have much to teach us about the incredible worth and power of extended families. But having the child raised by its extended family seems to me to be the alternative. Either chop up the baby in utero or entrust it to the wider family who have proved they'll move heaven and earth to care for it. But I honestly don't think that Justice Levin has even considered that alternative. She seems to consider the alternative to abortion to be driving the child to the set of Oliver Twist and leaving it on the doorstep of a Victorian workhouse. But even if that's Levin's alternative to tearing the child limb from limb, Natalie, adoption is a fate better than death, wouldn't you say? Please, would you say that? Otherwise, I fear greatly for the Court of Protection over which you preside. Now, Natalie Levin wants us to know that the decision was a difficult one for her. She said, "I'm acutely conscious of the fact that for the state to order a woman to have a termination where it appears that she doesn't want it is an immense intrusion." You could say that, Natalie. In fact, you do say that all the time in other settings. You have said that throughout your career. Natalie Levin QC has spent a career defending organizations like BPAS, the UK's largest abortion provider. And the central plank of her pro-choice position is the bodily autonomy of women. How dare anyone tell a woman what to do? How dare the powerful intrude into a woman's body? How dare anyone interfere with a woman's right to choose, right? Our body, our choice is the slogan, right? It's one that Levin says she agrees with. But now, once she's in power, now she changes tack. She cries personhood when it suits her, when she has drawn the circle tightly around herself and excluded the persons that she doesn't want in. Then, when she gets in power, she doesn't care about personhood or choice or bodily autonomy. Once Levin has assumed power, she was only made a judge earlier this year, by the way. Now she says to a pregnant woman, "Sit down, shut up, and let your superiors tell you what to do." This is a naked power play, and all in the interests of the greater good, of course. But the greater good of who? The powerful, the NHS Trust, the wider society. Because you know what? Babies are expensive. Fostering and adoption is expensive. But for £1,000, we can get rid of that inconvenience for you, no questions asked. And Natalie Levin, sitting on the bench, enjoying her power, makes a calculation. She says, let's use persons to serve power, and to hell with integrity, to hell with her body, her choice, to hell with that child. But this only highlights the fact that the pro-abortion position has not been about choice anyway. It's all about power, and it always has been. Think about it. The pro-abortion argument says it's pro-life men who are interfering with the bodily autonomy of women. That's what they say. But think about the reality for a second. Think about an unwanted pregnancy. Now think about the man who has caused it. What does he want 9 times out of 10? Is he pro-life? Not usually. And the pressure of a family who, let's say, does not want the expense or inconvenience or perhaps the scandal of an unwanted pregnancy, what are they pressuring the woman to do? And now consider the state, consider the NHS Trust, consider the Court of Protection, consider Justice Levin as she weighs up the costs of having a baby versus not. What does the state want the woman to do? In this case, what is the state forcing her to do? The woman is surrounded by pro-abortion pressure. Women are always surrounded by pro-abortion pressure. But you're telling me it's the pro-life men who are trying to control her? I'll let you in on a secret. Everyone wants control. No matter what your beliefs, everyone wants power. The default setting of the human heart is to make persons serve power. And Justice Levin has shown that to you. If persons get in the way of power, Levin will overpower her opponents. She will overpower all opposition while still mouthing the language of choice. But she is not pro-choice. She is pro-power. That's the natural state of everyone, from the man who impregnated this poor woman to the judge in the Court of Protection. Everyone is pro-power, except for 2 women, the mother herself and the grandmother who is standing for life. They prize persons over power, while Justice Levin attempts to overpower them. Well, thankfully, an appeal court overturned Justice Levin's decision yesterday. And for that, we can say thank God. But really, that just means that Justice Levin has been overpowered temporarily. Levin has temporarily lost the power game, but still power is tops. And while we can celebrate a one-off judgment in the Court of Appeals, while ever power is tops, we should fear. Because surely persons must trump power. It has to be persons before power, hasn't it? But to say that is to say, in the words of Dr. Seuss, a person is a person no matter how small. It's not power that confers personhood. Personhood is already inviolable. It's not earned. You don't have to be strong enough to be welcome in the human family. You don't have to be rich or clever or strong enough. You are a person, and you are as worthy of provision and protection as every other person. You know that, don't you? I hope you know that. But every pro-abortion argument is an argument for power before persons. It says that the unborn must earn their right to be a person. You have to be a certain size or strength or have certain capacities. The pro-abortion position makes personhood dependent on power. And if the little people aren't powerful enough, then the powers that be will eliminate them. That's the pro-abortion argument at its most basic. And the ugliness of Justice Levin's decision merely reflects the ugliness of abortion itself. It is the elimination of the weak by the strong. The pro-life position is the reverse. It's not about taking away power from the powerless woman. It's about enshrining personhood for all. It's about enshrining personhood first so that the powerful cannot ride roughshod over the weak. Now, I'm a Christian. I believe it's persons before power because I believe that is literally true. It doesn't require a court to invent that truth, only to recognize it. Before there was power, there were persons. Before there was a universe, there was Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, persons united in love, persons deferring to one another, persons pouring themselves out for one another, persons who cannot be without the other, persons whose very existence is one of oneness and belonging and mutual love. And then those persons made a world. And that was an exercise of tremendous power, but persons came first, and power serves persons, not the other way around. The alternative is to see that power is ultimate. And every view other than the Christian view believes that power is ultimate. Whether we've come from an explosion or from physical laws or chaotic forces or even from a single Unitarian God, every other story of reality says power comes first and persons come along later. But you know that's not right. You know it's power before, you know that it's persons before power, right? So come home to the one story in which that precious truth makes sense. Come home to Jesus, who didn't just stand up for the little guy, he became the little guy. He used his omnipotent power to serve persons, to serve you. Here's your one shot at escaping the power play. Come home to Jesus. It's June 25th. I'm Glen Scrivener, and you're watching Speak Life.